ladies and gentlemen, and joining us right now from the 10th Congressional District in the great state of Virginia is Congressman Frank Wolf, who serves on the Appropriations Committee and also is co-chair of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Committee. Hello, Congressman.
Hi, good to be with you, sir.
Well, welcome back. It's my pleasure, my honor. First of all, what I want to talk about with you is yesterday the passage by a vote of 402 to 22. And in this day and age, anytime something like that happens, it's huge news. The bipartisanship, the House passing the Religious Minorities Special Envoy legislation. You were instrumental. Talk about what that accomplished.
It's a bill that I work with Anna Eshoo on, who is from California, would set up a special envoy to advocate for Christians and other religious minorities in the Middle East. We see Christians being forced out of Coptic Christians and other Christians in Egypt. We see the Christian community in Iraq going from 1.5 million down to about 350,000. And we see the Christian community facing tremendous problems in Syria. And so this would be to advocate for them. Also, the Baha'i faith in Iran, there are a number of Baha'is that are in prison. The Ahmadis are going through a very difficult time in Pakistan. So this would be one office focused on advocating for religious minorities in the Middle East.
Yeah, and you have pointed out time and time again, and I've pointed this out on my show because I've kind of almost adopted this as just one of the great horrific tragedies that we're allowing to unfold before our very eyes. When I say we, I mean our government. Our State Department has said nothing about this virtually. Our president has said nothing about this virtually, which in and of itself is outrageous. But I know if it were the other way around, and it wouldn't be, but if it were Christians slaughtering Muslims, I know that the State Department and the President would be at the United Nations.
Well, I think we should all speak out and advocate. There is a saying in the Middle East, first the Saudi people, then the Sunni people. The Jewish population in the Middle East, other than Israel, has been decimated. Let me give you a couple examples. In the 1950s, the Jewish population of Egypt was about 80,000. The current Jewish population in Egypt is down to 20 people, 20. I met with the leaders of the Jewish community about several months ago. In Iraq in the 1950s, the Jewish population of Iraq was 150,000. Now there's one person left in Iraq. And so you're seeing the same, what happened to the Jewish community is happening now to the Christian community. And if you think about it, more biblical activity took place in Iraq than any other country other than Israel. Abraham is from Iraq. Daniel lived in Iraq. Daniel is buried in Iraq. Ezekiel is buried. The book of Esther, for such a time like this, Esther is from Iraq. Jonah, Nineveh is now Mosul. So I think we're just seeing a decimation of people of faith. You're seeing the Baha'is, very mild-mannered people.
Yeah.
A very mild, and in Iran, the Baha'i faith is being decimated. And so I think our government should speak out. The Congress did yesterday, the administration. But also the faith community in the United States must advocate for people of faith because religious freedom, whatever the religion may be, is so fundamental. So you make a good point. The administration should. I hope we pass this bill, and I think we will relatively fast in the Senate and get a good person in there. But also, all of us ought to speak out. Whoever, whatever group, whatever they may be, the Ahmadis in Pakistan, the Baha'is in Iran, the Coptic Christians in Egypt, we should advocate for them. Because where there is religious freedom, there generally is democracy. Where there's no religious freedom, that's where you have problems.
Couldn't agree with you more, and kudos to you on getting this passed in the House. We're talking to Congressman Frank Wolf on the Steve Malzberg Show. Just the other day, I was talking about a piece which your office became aware anonymously, I believe, of correct me if I'm wrong, a CIA worker who had knowledge of what happened in Benghazi. And as we had heard previously, and you and I discussed, I believe, there were reports of people that were being forced to sign non-disclosure forms by the State Department, by our government, with regard to Benghazi, so they would never speak about it to the press, to the Congress, whatever. And now we have one person, at least, that you became aware of that refused to sign this non-disclosure and has been reprimanded. What can you tell us about the latest on that?
We had a call from a person saying that there was an individual being reprimanded and he had been on the scene at Benghazi, CIA employee, who would not sign the non-disclosure agreement. And we then called the law firm. They acknowledged. We offered to help. Then we called back again, and they said they did not want it to help. They did give a name inadvertently, which we have not mentioned. But we also know that other people who were on the ground, particularly the contractors, have had to sign non-disclosure agreements too. And so I don't know what the CIA is trying to keep from covering or from finding out. That's why I think we need a select committee made up of all the committees, have public hearings.
What's the latest count? Because I
there
know
are 170, I think 175. Okay. We added 1 or 2 a day. It could be a little higher, but I think, so I don't exaggerate, 174 at least. We're building momentum, and ultimately I think we're going to be successful in getting it. And but there's a long way to go.
Yeah.
And I think whatever hearings there are have to be public hearings,
right,
whereby the American people can see, and the people ought to be subpoenaed.
I couldn't agree with you more, and including Hillary back and the people who put this report together, the ARB, which is, as we now know, the man who helped organize that report and put input in that report himself is suspect from the State Department, Mr. Kennedy, I believe. Now let's go for final.
I'm going to go ahead. I got somebody else on the other line.
Yeah. Okay. Healthcare. Are you pleased that it looks like John Boehner? There's going to be a vote tomorrow.
Well, there will be a vote tomorrow. A lot will depend on what happens in the Senate, and I think I'm going to support what we're doing in the House. But the question is, what will the Senate do? And that's going to be the magic question and the magic answer. And I think we're going to have to wait and see. I want to make sure the government does not shut down. I do not, under any circumstances, because that would mean we couldn't pay the men and women who are serving in Afghanistan, the VA hospitals, the FBI. But we're going to find out what the Senate does, and I think we'll be finding out probably sometime Friday afternoon, or I don't know if the Senate's going to be in over the weekend or not, but we expect to pass our bill sometime Friday.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. You too.
Okay,
Congressman
bye.
Frank Wolf, ladies and gentlemen, House Appropriations Committee, co-chair of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission, and he got that bill passed by a vote in the House of Representatives, 402 to 22 for a special envoy, a religious minority special envoy. Now it's up to the Senate. I can't imagine them not taking that up, although it's Harry Reid. Anything's possible. Okay, we're coming back. Lots more ahead. As always, you're welcome. 855-777-9660 right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.